All right, we are going to do a real quick tour of the Poorness studios here. So we're going to start over here to the right and we're going to go around to the left. So for starters here, this is the Roland Juno GI. It's a 61 key keyboard. It's kind of like Roland's entry-level workstation keyboards, but it has a ton of really cool sounds in it. I love to use it for like electric pianos, which happens to be what it's on, or organs or strings or other sounds like that. Really cool, very rich, full sounding patches. So anyway, if we look up here, we have the Dave Smith Mofo, which is a monophonic do-it-all synthesizer. Very powerful, has a ton of options, and it really has some cool patches. It really does a ton of cool stuff. So that's kind of the keyboard stand. And if we move over here to the left, first of all, you see all the patch cables over there on the wall, and then we come to the Euro rack. I'm not going to dive too deep into that right now because it's probably its own segment. But this is a ton of modular performance here. Right to the left of that, you see the Korg Volca bass. Now this thing is just straight up awesome. And if you push the button here, this thing is a 3 oscillator synth, and it's like $150 and sounds amazing. Very cool piece of gear that cost almost nothing. Here we have the Mini Brute, which was an impulse buy that I made, ended up just absolutely loving. It has no patches, it's just all about knobs and sliders. Has a million sounds, 100% analog, just very, very cool synth there. And then right above that, you see the Boss RV6 reverb. If I hit this and then play that again, hopefully that comes through on the camera, but it is definitely giving it some reverb there. Then if we come to the left of that, this is where the computer's at. There is the mixer. We're going to come back to that. And then over here we see the computer. There's the synth cat sleeping. And then over here we have our interface with a copy of I Dream of Wire sitting on top of it, of course. But this is the PreSonus audio box. Great little interface. This is what I use to get sounds and out of the computer. And then down here you'll notice there is an Oxygen 25 from M Audio. So this is just a controller, and so if I go over here to the DAW and I'll just pick like a software instrument here and come back, then I can play that and I'll get my software instrument. So if I need something that I can't add with all the gear over here, then I can simply do it with a software instrument. Of course you have the Mac here in the middle, again the synth cat sleeping. You notice the KRK monitors that we have here and here, and then I don't know if this will show up very well because of the lighting, but there is the sub over there to do the bottom end work. So there's the sound. And then the mixer here is a little Yamaha mixer. This thing is a great little mixer. This is kind of the center of this setup. If you look, hopefully I can get a good angle here. You can see there's essentially 6 channels, but 4 of them are stereo, which is kind of odd. You don't really see a lot of that. Very cool little thing. So the cables up here, the first one I leave open for mics or whatever I need. The second one goes to the Brute. The third and fourth go to the Mofo, the Mofo and the Juno respectively. The next one there is the Eurorack, and then finally you notice there's an RCA cable up there. That's actually the Volca. The reason for that, I'm not a big fan of RCA cables, but I need something to go from the 1/8 inch there to the mixer, and I had an 1/8 inch to dual quarter cable, but it was like 17 feet long or something ridiculous, but I had a nice little short one for RCA, so I just hooked it up that way. I'll probably replace that at some point. And then the other thing you notice here with the yellow one and the one with the black little mark there, those are the aux send, and that is when you see the color codes here what goes to the reverb. So with that, we can then change the aux send levels by channel. So if we want to put reverb on one channel but not the other. So for instance, if I wanted to take it out of the Eurorack, I could just dial it down. If I wanted to put more on the Brute, I could dial it up over here or whatever I want to do. So that's kind of the setup, and it allows me to do quite a bit of sounds. Now, what really ties this studio together, quite honestly, is not any of the, not the synths. It's this little beast here, the MIDI clock. And let me show you what that thing does. Now, first, let's get the dog back on the live track so we can hear it. If I can find where my mouse went. There it is. Okay, so coming back over here, let's just make sure. Yeah, we're back on the live track. Okay, so what this is, it's a very simple little device. It's actually made in Germany. Cool little thing. It's just a little box. That's all it is. And it has a clock in it and a MIDI out. That goes over here to a through box that hopefully we can see. There it is. There's a through box. And then that goes out to all of the instruments that have a MIDI sync, including the Euro rack here. So if you see that set to 85, and if you look around, pretty much everything is blinking at about the same rate. So actually on the Brute, or excuse me, on the Mofo, it tells you, and it's reporting 84, but you know, maybe it's just their clocks are a little different. But so everything, Pamela is reporting 85, interestingly enough. But okay, so now what's cool about this is if you bump it or you make a change, now watch what happens. If I spin this up to 134.5 and I don't do anything, it just goes right back. So you notice the clock did not start blinking faster. See, it's still blinking at the same rate, and then it goes back. So if you want to commit it, you need to turn it to whatever rate you want. So like, let's say we want to go to 65, and then you have to push the button, and then it commits, and then you can see it just adjusted. Now if we look over here, we can see that those adjusted as well. Here, Pamela picked up the change right there. She's reporting 66 now. So again, we got a little bit of difference between clocks over here. Oh, there's 64. Well, you know, maybe there's a little more drift when we get low, but you get the picture. It's picking up the clock. So what's cool is if we go to like a noticeably faster clock, and I'll try to get an angle here where we can see the blinking lights on the Brute and on the SQ1 here. So let's like speed it way up. Let's go to like 117. You can see right away those picked up, if you can see that. So everything, including the Volca, everything is synced to that clock, which makes it very handy. And you can see the master clock just comes out of that, goes into Pamela, and then I can do any division I want coming out of Pamela. So this is just a very neat little device, and it ties the entire studio together so that I can keep everything rock solid, locked down, and get everything, you know, just on one nifty little, oh, there's the stoplight, one nifty little recording pattern. So that's the studio tour. Hope you like it. And now let's jam with this thing and see what we can do. Bye.